Boating is a highly regulated recreational activity, and there may be occasions when a law enforcement officer will inspect your boat for equipment and legal compliance. The boat operator has the responsibility of ensuring the safety of all passengers, and this includes making certain all required safety equipment is on board the boat and ready to use.
If stopped by a Marine Patrol officer, slow down and bring your boat to a stop if it is safe to do so. Once stopped, wait for further directions from the officer. Generally, the officer will maneuver the patrol boat to you. Only law enforcement boats are allowed to display a blue light. As we talk about the legal requirements for recreational boating, keep in mind that each state has different boating laws. If you boat in California one week and then in Nevada the next, you will be operating under two different sets of rules. While state laws vary from state to state, the boating laws established by the federal government and enforced by the U.S. Coast Guard are standardized throughout the country. This video discusses the federal boating laws. Your manual is supplemented with your state-specific laws. Make sure you read and understand your state laws. And if you have any questions, please contact your state boating officials for specific information. All states require undocumented vessels equipped with propulsion machinery to be registered in the state of principal use, which is defined as more than 180 days per year. Titling your boat is required in some states. A certificate of number, registration card, will be issued when you register your boat. The numbers assigned on the card must be properly displayed on your vessel. The owner-operator of a vessel must carry a valid certificate of number on the boat whenever it's underway. Registered boats must properly display the assigned numbers. The number needs to be displayed in the following manner. Numbers must be permanently attached to the forward half of the vessel, generally the bow area. They must be at least 3 inches in height, block-style letters and numbers, contrast in color to the hull, and properly spaced. Most states require the currency decal be displayed within 6 inches of the registration number. Again, check your manual for your state's requirements. Numbers must be painted or permanently attached. With the exception of the state decal, no other letters or numbers may be displayed near the registration number. If your boat is eligible, it may be federally documented instead of state registered. If you decide to document your boat, follow these requirements. The official documentation must be carried on board a documented vessel at all times. Documented vessels must comply with all state and federal laws, and a registration fee and display of validation sticker are still required in some states. The main beam number must match the official number on the document, and the name and hailing port of the boat must be displayed at least once on the hull, at least 4 inches in height, and contrasting in color to the hull. Periodically check to see that the numbers and decals are in good condition. Before getting underway, you will need to ensure your boat has all the required safety equipment. These requirements are the core requirements that all boater operators must follow when operating a boat on navigable waters. In addition to the core requirements, your state may have additional requirements. Life jacket, vest, personal flotation device, PFD. Whatever you call them, they are the single most important piece of safety gear for all boaters.
The life jacket, like the inflatable one I'm wearing around my waist or the traditional model, is the single most important piece of safety gear for any boater. Isn't that reason enough to buy a good quality life jacket and wear it always?
Life jackets come in a variety of shapes, colors, and materials. Some are made for rugged use, while others are made to protect you from cold water. No matter which life jacket you choose, be sure to get one that is right for you, your planned activities, and the water conditions you expect to encounter. Read the inside label of a life jacket for restrictions, size, weight, and Coast Guard approval. Most life jackets are made for general boating activities, but some are only for specific activities. Read the label to ensure the life jacket is appropriate for the intended wearer and activity. There must be a wearable, Coast Guard approved life jacket of type 1, 2, 3, or 5 for each person on a boat. The Type 4 throwable PFDs are special use devices. They include seat cushions, ring buoys, and horseshoe buoy styles. At least one Type 4 must be on most boats 16 feet or longer, in addition to the required wearable life jackets. Check your manual for your state-specific requirements. To ensure the life jacket you select fits properly, follow these recommended steps. Put on the life jacket, ensuring all straps, zippers and ties are fastened firmly and correctly. Raise your arms over your head and reach for the sky. At the same time, have someone firmly lift the life jacket straight up by the shoulders. The life jacket must stay in place. If it rises above your nose or mouth, so will the water. Inflatable life jackets are not to be worn by anyone under 16 years of age, personal watercraft riders, skiers, tubers, wakeboarders, or while boating in whitewater. The Type 4 throwable PFDs are special use devices. They are designed to be thrown to a person in the water. They can be worn, but only by holding the device to a person's chest. Keep your life jacket in good and serviceable condition. Any deterioration could diminish the performance, and it may not meet inspection requirements. An inflatable life jacket, including the inflatable components of a hybrid inflatable, must be equipped with a properly armed inflation mechanism, complete with a full inflation CO2 cartridge, and all status indicators showing that the inflation mechanism is properly armed. Remember, there must be a wearable life jacket for each person on the boat. It has to be Coast Guard approved, in good and serviceable condition, and of the appropriate size for the intended wearer. Wearable life jackets must be readily accessible. Your Type 4 throwable PFD must be immediately available. Each person on board a personal watercraft must wear a Coast Guard approved life jacket, and they are required while skiing, wakeboarding, or tubing. See your manual for laws specific to your state. Federal law requires all children under the age of 13 to wear a life jacket at all times while the boat is underway, unless they are below deck or in an enclosed cabin. Additionally, most states require children of certain ages and on certain length boats to wear a life jacket. Check your state laws to ensure you are in compliance. Regardless of your age, always consider wearing a life jacket when on or near the water. There are no fire stations on the water, and for this reason a Coast Guard-approved fire extinguisher is required on boats where a fire hazard could be expected from the motors or the fuel system. If required to carry a fire extinguisher, it must be Coast Guard-approved B1 or B2 classification and have a specific marine-type mounting bracket. Look for the part of the label that says Marine Type Coast Guard and that Type BC is indicated. Fire extinguishers are required if your boat has inboard engines, closed living spaces, closed stowage compartments in which combustible or flammable materials are stored, and if there are permanently installed fuel tanks. The number of fire extinguishers required on a recreational boat is based on the overall length of the boat. Your manual shows the number of extinguishers that are required. In the case where a Coast Guard-approved fire extinguishing system is installed, the required number of handheld extinguishers may be reduced by 1. Visual distress signals are only used when there is a true emergency and are designed to be seen from miles away, especially aerial flares. Distress signals are required on coastal waters, the Great Lakes, territorial seas, and those waters connected directly to them, up to a point where a body of water is less than 2 miles wide. There are a few vessels that are exempt and are not required to carry day signals, but still must carry night signals when operating from sunset to sunrise. The exempt vessels are recreational boats less than 16 feet in length, boats participating in organized events such as races, regattas, or marine parades, open sailboats less than 26 feet in length not equipped with propulsion machinery, and manually propelled boats. There are 2 classifications of visual distress signals, pyrotechnic and non-pyrotechnic. Both types must be Coast Guard approved, in serviceable condition, and readily accessible. Pyrotechnic devices are marked with an expiration date. Check the date to ensure yours are not expired. If pyrotechnic devices are selected, a minimum of 3 are required. That is, 3 signals for day use and 3 signals for night. Some pyrotechnic signals meet both day and night use requirements and are called combination flares. If you elect to carry the combination flares, 3 are required. Non-pyrotechnic visual distress signals are devices that do not create flame or smoke. They need to be in serviceable condition, readily accessible, and certified by the manufacturer as complying with Coast Guard requirements. They include orange distress flag, which is a day-type signal only. It must be at least 3 feet by 3 feet, with a black square and ball on an orange background. Look for the marking that indicates that it meets Coast Guard requirements. Electric distress lights are accepted for night use only. They automatically flash the International SOS distress signal and must be marked with an indication that they meet Coast Guard requirements. Regulations prohibit display of visual distress signals on the water under any circumstances except when assistance is required to prevent immediate or potential danger to persons on board a vessel. All boats using gasoline for electrical generation, mechanical power, or propulsion are required to be equipped with the ventilation system. All blower motors installed in exhaust ducts must be in working condition of date of manufacture. Each exhaust opening or exhaust duct must originate in the lower one-third of the compartment and must be above the normal accumulation of bilge water. A powered ventilation system is required for each compartment in a boat that has a permanently installed gasoline engine. All boat owners are responsible for keeping their boat's ventilation systems in operating condition. To prevent flames from entering the engine compartment, all gasoline engines, except outboard motors, must be equipped with an acceptable means of backfire flame control. Installations consisting of backfire flame arresters approved by the Coast Guard are acceptable. The flame arrestor must be suitably secured to the air intake with a flame-tight connection. Clean flame arresters according to the manufacturer's recommendations. Vessels 39.4 feet or more in length are required to carry on board a whistle or horn. Any vessel less than 39.4 feet in length may carry a whistle or horn or some other means to make an efficient sound signal. Examples of sound signals include whistles and freon or electric horns. For power-driven vessels less than 39.4 feet or 12 meters in length, the masthead or all-round white light must be at least 1 meter above the side lights. Side lights may be combined into one housing, commonly called a combination bow light, instead of 2 separate lights. If your sailing vessel is less than 65.6 feet in length, then it must display navigation lights as shown. If your sailboat is less than 23 feet in length, as an option, your vessel may carry an electric torch, such as a flashlight, or lighted lantern that can show a white light in sufficient time to prevent collision. If your vessel is propelled by oars, then it should display lights for a sailboat if practical. As an option, your vessel may carry a flashlight or lighted lantern that can show a white light in sufficient time to prevent collision. Vessels at anchor must display an anchor light from sunset to sunrise. Your recreational boat must have an all-round white light visible where it can best be seen from all directions. If operating on federal navigable waters, a vessel of 26 feet or longer must display in a prominent location a durable placard at least 5 by 8 inches, fixed in a conspicuous place in the machinery spaces or at the bilge pump control station. Regulations issued under the Federal Water Pollution Control Act require all vessels with propulsion machinery to have a capacity to retain oily mixtures on board and be equipped with a fixed or portable means to discharge these oily mixtures to a reception facility. It is illegal to dump plastic trash anywhere in the ocean or navigable waters of the United States. It is also illegal to discharge garbage in the navigable waters of the United States, including inland waters, as well as anywhere in the Great Lakes. United States ocean-going vessels of 40 feet or longer, which are equipped with a galley and berthing, must have a written waste management plan. All recreational boats with installed toilet facilities must have an operable marine sanitation device, or MSD, on board. All installed MSDs must be Coast Guard certified. When operating a vessel on a body of water where the discharge of treated or untreated sewage is prohibited, such as no discharge zones, the operator must secure the device in a manner that prevents any overboard discharge. Most marinas have dedicated pump-out stations available for removing sewage. To help keep our waters clean and safe, all boaters should pump out sewage holding tanks on a regular basis. The manufacturers of recreational boats are required to construct boats using efficient muffling devices. State laws prevent the use of boats without efficient muffling devices, and many states require the devices to prevent noise levels at established decibel ratings. Boat operators should always maintain muffling systems that prevent unacceptable noise levels. The equipment requirements we discussed are essential for the safety of you and your passengers. Make sure your equipment is always in good and serviceable condition to meet the requirements. Treat your gear properly, and it will be ready for use should you ever need it. As the boat operator, you are responsible for any action that has the potential of endangering life, limb, or property. Many actions may be deemed reckless, whether intentional or not. Never allow any of the following unsafe actions: bow riding, sitting on the gunwales, seat backs, or high pedestal seats while the boat is in motion. Not carrying the required safety equipment. In coastal areas, crossing hazardous inlets and bars at certain times can be considered reckless, as well as excessive speed. In every state, it is illegal to operate a boat while under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Alcohol affects judgment, vision, balance, and coordination. It increases the likelihood of accidents. You are considered to be under the influence if you have a 0.08% blood alcohol content or higher. State and federal laws carry stringent penalties for violating this law. Penalties can include large fines, suspension or revocation of boat operators' privileges, and jail terms. No person under the age of 21 may have a measurable blood alcohol concentration. The fact that you are operating a boat implies that you consent to be tested for the presence of alcohol, drugs, or other intoxicating substances if requested by a law enforcement officer. Most states have minimum operator age requirements, especially for personal watercraft and powerboat operators. Check your manual for your specific state requirements. Generally, there are no age requirements to operate a non-powered boat such as sailboats, windsurfers, canoes, kayaks, or rowboats. Another common water sport is diving or snorkeling. State laws require all persons involved in diving or snorkeling operations to clearly mark the area using a diver flag. Boat operators should always stay a minimum distance of 100 to 200 feet from any boat or any float showing the diver flag. Slow down to no wake speed and operate with caution anytime you observe underwater operations. The operator of a vessel involved in a recreational boating accident must submit a casualty or accident report to the reporting authority in the state where the accident occurred. A reportable accident means a person dies, a person is injured and requires medical treatment beyond first aid. Damage to the vessel and other property totals more than $2,000, or as little as $200 in some states, or a complete loss of the vessel, or a person disappears from the vessel under circumstances that indicate death or injury. Due to increased security, boaters are prohibited from coming within 100 yards of any naval vessel, and within 500 yards, you must slow your boat to no wake speed. Additionally, you are not allowed to anchor under bridges. Recreational boaters are asked to report suspicious behavior or potential threats by calling 1-877-24-WATCH. If in doubt, or if it's an emergency situation, call 911 or use Channel 16 VHF FM.